All right, y'all, what's happening? It's Zach Attack, aka Vitamin Dread, back with you for another team building exercise for on Pokemon Showdown. This is going to be another SMOU team. I've had so much fun doing these. I know I haven't posted. Oh, geez, I know I haven't posted in a minute. But this. I've been getting back on track. I've been working a lot, and I think this is going to be kind of a weird gimmick, but it's actually a pretty good team. I've already used it a little bit. It could obviously be a lot better, and you'll see how. But basically, the gimmick behind this, it's the most worthless, utterly awful gimmick that I wanted to build a team around. But through doing it, actually, you can build a pretty good team. Pretty good base team. I know probably a lot of people have seen teams like this competitively. So I'm just going to make a slight altercation to that team, and I'm actually going to start with that, not to make it obvious. But I was just looking at different moves and other things that we can use that might be usable, different gimmicks that you might want to try out, because you never know if anything pops up, if anything might catch on as a trend. Not to say that I thought that this would ever catch on at all, but I just wanted to see if it would at all work in a OU format, in a singles OU format. And that is the move Odor Sleuth. A very bizarre move that basically, if you don't know what it does, it makes it so normal and fighting type attacks can hit ghost types. That does not really make a difference, but if you use it as a Z move, which I'm going to do, you will be able to increase your attack one stage, so it's like a one-time attack increase. Obviously Howl is a lot better, but let me tell you why I wanted to try Odor Sleuth out. Arcanine is the only viable user of it because it's the only thing that might be able to take a hit with Flash Fire, and then has enough of a move pool to stomach the move and have pretty good coverage with its other three moves. And when I say, oh, the lights, there go the lights. And when I say coverage, what I mean is specifically on stall teams, because the only Pokemon that you will ever use Odor Sleuth against that would bring it to its full effect are ghost types. And those aren't very common, but on stall teams, Mega Sableye is almost mandatory. Like, I almost am kind of surprised when I see a stall team that doesn't have Mega Sableye on it. Mega Sableye is part dark type, which is, again, why it's so good. But basically, an Odor Sleuth will, for Sableye, force it to switch out. Now, Arcanine can easily switch into anything Sableye has. Will-O-Wisp will activate Flash Fire. Knockoff is not going to do that much with the Z item, which can't be knocked off. So really, you're looking at, like, I don't know, Recover, things like that. So basically, Sableye is going to be forced to switch out. Once you go into a Will-O-Wisp, you can use, if they decide to stay in, if you don't know what moveset they have, you can use your Z move, and then pretty much there's no way Sableye is going to stay in, because it's not going to survive. Even at full health, it will, I did the calculations, it will not survive. Well, I think it's, what, 70% of the time it survives a close combat, so close combat obviously is going to be our first move. Otherwise, it's one-hit KO'd. Any prior damage will pretty much one-hit KO it. Then you have, I'm just going to use a fire move. Flare Blitz tends to be a pretty solid one. And I did actually do a video about this before, this set. Wild Charge for the coverage. Electric is really good coverage for stall. It will really knock, it will basically two-hit KO guaranteed Toxapex, Celesteela, Skarmory, might even one-hit KO. I mean, you have Flare Blitz for those guys anyway. Any other bulky waters that, you know, don't have like Volt Absorb or something, or that aren't Quagsire. Like super, super important. And then it's also important to I'm just going to do 252 attack for the most amount of power. If you want to put Adamant, if you decide to do a gimmick like this, first of all, I don't recommend doing that. And I'm going to put 4 into special defense because it's going to be more often that Arcanine's taking a special hit, like Scald from Toxapex or something like that, just to have a little bit more bulk on the special side. Have to go with Jolly. On my particular team, you do, because otherwise I would have a more difficult time getting around things that Arcanine speed ties. Anything with base 95 speed, that'd be Jolly, like Tapu Lele or Kurian B are really the only two that I can think of. But Tapu Lele, I mean, it's going to be hard to kind of do anything to it unless it's already got some prior damage, but a +1 Flare Blitz will do most of the damage. So that's my gimmick. Now, in order to pull the gimmick off, there's a couple things that we need. I for instance, wanted to start with a steel type because I wanted chances for, and a physical steel type at that, and there's nobody better than Mega Mawile. And I just say that because I want chances for Arcanine to be able to take a fire move from something, and then maybe be able to Odor Sleuth it back, you know, or force it out. I mean, the only other ghost type is Blacephalon, which Arcanine really, it does not have a good matchup against. It's better. Blacephalon's a lot better. It's very powerful. Of course, if it's locked into a, you could, even if it's not locked in, you switch into a fire move, you still have a chance to set up or something, and it might be like in trouble. Now, if you want to, if somebody else uses Z Odor Sleuth, trust me, there's nobody else that can do it except for Arcanine. But Arcanine also gets extreme speed, which is good, which might work better with Blacephalon. But this is really just to counter Mega Sableye, and it really hurts because Mega Sableye is not very common unless it's stall. So that's why this is just straight a gimmick. I understand that Heatran is infinitely better as a stall breaker. So if you allocate Heatran stats to where it can just power through and stall break and wall break Mega Sableye, you have a very good team, the team that I'm going to make to you. But I'm going to start with Mega Mawile. Intimidate is very important for it to have before it Mega Evolves. You know, it really is going to help a lot because my team is not really going to be taking a lot of hits, so anything with Intimidate is really good. I'm going to go for, let's see. Okay, just making sure. I'm going to go for typical Swords Dance set. I could go with Choice Band, but this is more of my sweeper, one of my sweepers, and it's going to be pretty easy to work around. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to actually end up at 190 speed. I don't know how to do that. Like 50? No, 252. That's 199. Okay. I forgot what I had to get to 190. Okay, well, we'll go to that later. Anyway, so Mega Mawile gives Arcanine an opportunity to take a fire move, and then get Flash Fire and maybe put a little bit of offensive pressure so it could Z move up. I just wanted to share and see if anyone was out there. Y'all can hit me up on Discord, on Twitch, to see what you guys think of Z Odor Sleuth, or if any of those other odd Z moves. You saw one of my teams was from Z Psych Up. That one doesn't work. But Z Odor Sleuth is quite an interesting stall breaking method because you think about who's going to switch into Arcanine on a stall team, and you're looking at special walls maybe. If you need physical walls, it takes down Toxapex and 2-hit KOs +1 Wild Charge, KOs Toxapex. You know, obviously Celesteela, Skarmory can't do anything to it. Clefable doesn't like taking. Sometimes it's more specially oriented. Sometimes it's physical, but doesn't like taking a +1 flare blitz or anything for that matter. This team has trouble with fairy types in general, but the more that we work around them, the more options that I have to work around them, the better. So Mawile, an easy core with them, and of course, again, a lot of people might know this core. This is if you're newer to team building, and you're just watching this to sort of get an idea of the process of building an OU team. I also have everything in the description, all the links you're going to need to. But an extremely common core team is with Mega Mawile would be Lando T and Rodham as sort of a Volt turn core, defensive core. And it honestly works very well with Arcanine too, because I mean it's just a good core in general, but Arcanine has a lot of trouble taking ground and water hits. Rodham can not only take the hits but Volt switch out back or cripple something with Will-O-Wisp on the switch. And then of course for Excadrill, who Rodham can't do anything to if it's Mold Breaker, if it has Mold Breaker, you have Lando T. Lando T also for other like Landoruses or any other ground types in general. So I'm gonna do a defensive Lando T. Now, if you guys watch my previous videos, you know I have sort of a little I've used him in every single one of my teams. Let's just put it that way, that I've done videos on. I think he should be banned. If you have a legendary who is on virtually every team and can fit on teams in so many different ways, in so many different capacities, why wouldn't you consider banning him? I understand that it's like, oh, well, you know, he's a little easier to counter, but his main counter is itself. Lando's main counter is itself on most teams, which is hilarious. And you don't even know what the metagame would open up if you would ban him. But, I mean, if they didn't ban Snorlax and Gold and Silver, they're never going to do it now. But they did ban Garchomp and Diamond Pearl and everything, so... Anyway, sorry, I'm going to do Leftovers, Intimidate. You could use Rocky Helmet if you want to do a little bit extra chip damage. It really helps because this team is built around sweeping, Z-Move, and Swords Dance. So Rocky Helmet does help, actually, for chip damage. But this is, again, it's also a defensive Lando. I'm going to have U-Turn, and I'm going to have, let's see, Earthquake. Stealth Rock, and Hidden Power Ice for opposing Lando. Really, really helps a lot, and puts a lot of pressure off of, you know, not a lot of people expect, for some reason, like Zygarde will stay in against Lando and try and set up, and like if Lando has Hidden Power Ice, all of a sudden that can't happen anymore. You get at least some chip damage if it tries to substitute or something like that, sub setup or something like that. You're getting at least that much chip damage, so I just think it's really good. Let's see, let's do, what is it, 16 speed? I gotta be at 222, and then let's do 248. And we're going to do especially defensive because it already has Intimidate. Okay. And Rodham, finally, for my defensive Volt turn core. And that's going to also be my defogger, Will-O-Wisp. But Rodham has so many opportunities to defog. It really is the best defogger in the game. This is really one of the best move sets in the game. Okay, let's do... I'm just going to do this for right now. It doesn't mean anything. I don't really know. I'm going to go back and do the IVs. The link to my team is in the description as well, so you don't have to copy this. You can just copy and paste from the link, the Poke Paste. So, I'm just looking at this team. We've got a couple more slots to fill. I do not have a Mega, and I also don't really have a strong special attacker. And the trifecta of criteria for my next Pokemon, which is like, again, I probably have most of my teams, which is oh, excuse me, I do have a Mega. But I'm going to pick Latios. Excuse me, I don't have a Revenge Killer. I have Swords Dance on Mawile, but you know, Dark doesn't have the best coverage. What Latios does is it gives me a powerful psychic attack to not only take back special walls on Psyshock, but also take care of Mega Venusaur, who would otherwise shut down my team, especially one with Earthquake. And also Toxapex gives me a little extra help on Toxapex too. And maybe anything else that that happens to be poison or fighting or whatever. So I'm gonna use Draco Meteor and Psyshock. Now I think when I first tried to do this video, I put on Shadow Ball. I mean, excuse me, Memento. Not thinking that that would be a bad idea, but it was a horrible idea. I never used it. Maybe once or twice. It actually helped when you need like Rodham to come in and like survive a hit and then defog or something like that. But other than that, it's really worthless. I'm sure people use it to some degree on of success on Latios. I've tried. Certain teams it works. This team it might, but I need Shadow Ball. That is because I really don't have an answer to Tapu Lele, especially Scarf Tapu Lele. So this is going to be Scarf. And then I can just trick, if it is a stall team, this really is going to have no problem. There's so much stall breaking. You just trick something. That really is, it's almost like pertinent for Clefable. Like if you have Unaware Clefable that has like cosmic power or something, it's almost very necessary for you to trick a Scarf to it. So yeah, I mean, setup sweeper is always going to happen. Substitute really fucks it up, so you have to be worried about that. Actually, Substitute fucks this team up a lot. There's no multi-hit moves. There's nothing that really can take a hit and has great coverage. There's no like physical or I mean bulky offensive tanks or anything. This is gonna be I think I need it to be Jolly. I think I don't know if I could have it be Modest and still outspeed. I mean, I could probably still outspeed Scarf Lele, but I have to double check on that because the extra power or the extra special attack would probably make a difference. But this was the original one that I had used this set with Jolly. Then finally, I am going to. Oh, and it also helps like post tricking something, like if you have to trick something early and then you're screwed on a speed tie on base 110 with Mega Diancie or something like that. You know, not saying that that's going to happen often, but and then I know that this last one is kind of weird because Tapu Bulu, grassy terrain, makes no sense. But Salt Fest Bulu can take a hit and is pretty much the best counter to Ashgren, Zygarde, good Zygarde counter, Keldeo counter, who's the other one? Anyway, Garchomp. Anyway, just Bulu. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he fits so well on so many teams. And so I'm going to use the Vest version of him, pretty much. A pretty standard Vest, Salt Vest version. And that means I need some longevity, so Horn Leech really helps with that. Wood Hammer for a little extra power. I could change to Zen Headbutt for coverage. I find myself not really using Wood Hammer that often. Actually, Superpower might not be bad for good matchups against Heatran. Just doesn't get stab, and you know it's not super great. But what are you gonna do? And then Nature Madness. I had Nature Power for some reason before because I got the moves confused. Nature Madness is a great move. If you don't know what's going to switch in and you think it's going to be a hard to take down defensive type and you just want to, or maybe you don't, it's really good for prediction because Nature Madness is going to hurt anybody that's at full health, period. Especially defensive types, but most offensive types, it leaves them easily picked off by Sucker Punch from Mawile or something like that. So it's very, very important to have. I was thinking about Mega Horn for Hoopa, but I think we are going to go with, what was my other move? Stone Edge, yes. That really helps with Zapdos and Volcarona. Tapu Bulu is not super common, so you have Volcarona that thinks maybe it can get a Fire Blast off on it. I mean, a +1 will still kill it, but even a Bug Buzz. If somebody tries a Bug Buzz or a lower, like a regular flamethrower that's not boosted, like Tapu Bulu is taking down Volcarona. Now I already have Latios for that and Sucker Punch on Mawile for taking down things like taking down things like that. But I don't know. The more the better. That's what I say. I know it doesn't make any sense because usually ground weak Pokemon. Although I have 2 ground weak Pokemon that are both my sweepers, so the grassy terrain does help. I know it doesn't make any sense because it won't affect these guys, but it does help. And I'm looking at this team, and I have pretty much multiple resistances to everything on my, like every type on my team. Tapu Lele is obviously still going to be a problem with this team, big time. But it's solid if you know what you're doing. The problem is that this gimmick is not necessary. So if you do want to build a serious team and you do want to win, I would recommend replacing Arcanine after having tried this team out with Heatran, a Z-move Heatran that can break through Mega Sableye, because I already kind of have Earthquake, Volt Switch, Psyshock, all that shit for and then like a Swords Dance, all that shit for Toxapex. Heatran can, in terms of fire, take down Celesteela and Skarmory. You just have to watch out for and it's not like it's fighting weakness. I'm like abusing the fact that Arcanine doesn't have a fighting weakness or something. It's just a gimmick, but it's a fun gimmick because nobody expects it, and it only really works against Mega Sableye. But if you can get another Spiritomb or something, or another ghost type that's down lower tier, it's pretty hard to find one that's slower than Arcanine. But Cofagrigus is a good one. That stuff is going to make them switch out. And ghost types rely on Will-O-Wisp a lot of times for defensive, for physical defense, and that's not going to work with Flash Fire Arcanine. Obviously, it's not going to work with Flash Fire Heatran either. But it's an interesting move. So I hope that you like this video, guys. All my viewers, thank you so much for the support. And I will be back next week with another video that's hopefully a little bit less gimmicky. But I love exploring the game, the meta game. I might start switching up and doing some more metas too. I'm doing a lot of monotype teams, so we might switch it up and do a monotype thread. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be back on with the videos next week. So thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it. Peace.